Mrs. Doyle, what exactly are you hiding? Hand it over. Now.
I'm so sorry, sir. I couldn't help it. I never could.
That's not... Why are you crying over that?
Please don't take it from me. It's all I have of him.
Of who?
It's all I ever let myself keep.
Ma.
I was 19, I had nothing. So I gave you the whole thing, a life I could never build with these two hands. When you were 9, the position opened. I told myself I only wanted to see you once, just to know you were real. Then you fell off the garden wall that summer and came running to me crying, and I could never leave after that.
The study smelled of cedar and cold rain. Grant Whitmore stopped in the doorway and watched the old woman's hand close around something small. Mrs. Doyle. His voice stayed level, colder than the room. What exactly are you hiding? Eleanor Doyle turned from the shelf where his mother's silver had sat untouched for 30 years. Her fist was pressed hard against her chest, knuckles white. She said nothing. The brooch had been missing since Tuesday. His mother's brooch, the last thing the woman who raised him ever wore. He had searched every room in the Connecticut house, and now here stood the housekeeper who held keys to all of them, caught in the dark, hiding something in her hand. "Hand it over," he said. She didn't move. In 20 years, he had never seen her afraid. Eleanor Doyle ran this house like a clock. She had bandaged his knees, kept his small secrets from his father, stood at the back of every family funeral. Now her eyes were wet, and she was folding into herself like a girl half her age. "I'm so sorry, sir." Her voice cracked. "I couldn't help it. I never could." Something in the way she said it made his certainty waver. He crossed the room. He took her wrist, gently, though he'd meant to be hard, and turned her hand over. Her fingers opened. It wasn't the brooch. In her palm lay a locket, gold worn soft at the edges, the kind of thing that costs nothing and can't be bought. Not stolen, old, hers. He could tell from the way she cupped it that it had lived against her skin for a very long time. "That's not—" He stopped. "Why are you crying over that?" "Please don't take it." A tear fell onto her wrist. "It's all I have of him. It's all I ever let myself keep." Of who? She looked at him then, and there was something in her face he had no name for. With her thumb, she pressed the clasp. The locket opened. Inside was a photograph. A young woman, maybe 19, standing outside a bus station in a thin coat, squinting into old sunlight. Someone from another decade. A stranger. Except... Grant's breath stopped. He knew that face. He had known it his whole life. There was a photograph he had carried in his wallet since he was 6 years old. Soft as cloth now, the only thing that came with him the day the Whitmores drove him home from the county home in Hartford. The staff had let him keep it. A young woman outside a bus station, thin coat, squinting into the sun. The same photograph. The same woman. He had studied that face for 35 years, wondering. Falling asleep as a boy, inventing her voice, her laugh, the reason. And she had been in his house the entire time, ironing his shirts, calling him Sir. "Mom!" The word came out of him small and cracked. 35 years old. Eleanor Doyle did not look away. That was the thing he would remember later, that she didn't flinch, didn't crumble. She had waited a lifetime to be seen, and now that it came, she met it standing up. "I was 19, she said quietly. "I had nothing. I was sick that winter, and I was alone, and I knew exactly what I could give you and what I couldn't." Her voice steadied, though the tears kept coming. "So I gave you the other thing, the whole thing, a life I could never have built with these two hands." Grant's legs stopped holding him. He sat down slowly on the arm of his father's chair. "When you were 9, she went on, The position here came open. Housekeeper. I knew whose house it was. I'd known for years where they'd sent you. I told myself I only wanted to see you once, just once, to know you were real, that you were well. She pressed the locket to her lips. And then you fell off the garden wall that first summer and split your chin and cried for somebody to hold you. And it was me you ran to, and I could not leave after that. God help me, I couldn't. 20 years. His voice was barely there. You were under this roof 20 years, and you never once. And what would I have taken from you? She shook her head. You had a mother. You had this whole life, this name, everything I dreamed for you in that bus station. I was not going to walk in and make a grown man choose. I only wanted to be near it, near you. That was enough. I made it be enough. He looked at the woman he had accused of theft 10 minutes ago, the woman who had cleaned his scrapes and stood silent at the back of 2 funerals, his father's, then his mother's, never once claiming a place closer to the front. She had given him up, so he could have everything, and then spent 20 years in his house asking for nothing at all. I don't even know your name, he said, your real one. Eleanor, she said. It was always just Eleanor. Outside, the rain thinned to nothing. Late grey light came through the study windows and lay across the floor in the space between them. Grant reached out and folded her fingers back over the locket and held them there, both his hands wrapped around her one. The way you hold something you have only just understood, you almost lost. Keep it, he said. It was never yours to be ashamed of. She began to cry in earnest then. Not the frightened weeping from before, but something far older coming loose after 35 years of being held perfectly still. He didn't tell her it was all right. He didn't make a speech. He simply sat there on the arm of his father's chair, his mother's hand held in both of his in the grey afternoon light, and stayed. For the first time in 35 years, neither of them was waiting for anything.